I approached the weathered red building, grinning ear to ear. My favorite thrills in life were exploring abandoned structures across the United States, and this one in particular was in Stony Church State Park, a rural town located just south of the state border. I had long dreamed of going there, and as soon as I acquired a suitable vehicle for the 2-hour trek, I made the necessary accommodations and took off. Joining me on the expedition was a social media friend, Corey, an enthusiastic urban explorer who was skilled at filming and taking pictures with precision. Stony Church State Park was once a highly reputable state hospital, with a population of over 3,000 people, including mental patients, staff members, prison inmates, and churchgoers. The park included a church, schoolhouse, staff housing, bowling alley, and various other facilities that I had yet to identify. However, there was one building, the doctor's office, that intrigued me the most. Technically, we weren't sure if that was its real name. It was simply a nickname given by locals who often visited for some cheap thrills. A large number, 11, was printed on a plaque to the left of the front entrance, but not much else was known about the place, except that patients were brought there for testing. It was completely shut down for undisclosed reasons in 2003, and the endless, mysterious possibilities made me shiver. The 4-story building creaked and moaned in the wind, almost as if inviting us in to explore its dark, dusty corridors. My heart was racing as we pushed through the main entrance of Building 11, and I let out a gasp at the sight before me: peeling paint, broken staircases, and a dying symbol of what used to bring ill patients to the wards on the 2nd floor. This was my dream come true. My late-night online searches had finally come to life. We were ready to start our eerie photo shoot as the location was at our disposal. Corey took a few steps into a chairless waiting room to our left, where an office window sat dormant with shattered glass spewed across a countertop. Little things like that made my heart race with anticipation of what the location had to offer. Corey took a few photos before I started filming with the second camera. However, I paused when his third flash caught my attention, making my jaw shut tight and my eyes widen in disbelief. I asked Corey if he had seen what I saw, but he hadn't noticed anything unusual. I took his camera and began to sift through the photos and noticed something unusual in the third picture. It was an outline of a person standing behind the broken glass frame at the check-in booth. The pale, clean-shaven man wore a white coat and was staring at us from beyond the camera lens. It was as if I had seen him through the flash. I showed the picture to Corey, and we were in disbelief at the otherworldly portrait we had just caught by accident. We quickly moved on to the next room, still reeling from the shock. As we wandered back into the hallway, we noticed a stack of frayed and torn paperwork on the floor. Corey picked some up and took a few more photos. I pulled a sheet of paper from out of his hand and read through the old text. It listed the name of the hospital, along with the Stony Church seal at the top of the page. It seemed to be a typed letter addressed to the Stony Church Board of Health and Mayor William Hanson. The letter was marked as unmailed and, upon reading it, we realized that it was quite discontent. The author expressed their concern regarding the operations handled by the head surgeon, who was testing his research on patients. The author also claimed that the doctor was making decisions that were not in line with any policy and that the death toll was rising. The author pleaded with the board to remove Dr. Lakeville from his position and help clean up the place. It was a disturbing message, and we both felt uneasy after reading it. As I read the crumpled piece of paper, chills ran down my spine. It was a valuable clue to uncover the hospital's hidden secrets, but why was it neglected? Did someone intentionally conceal it? I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Folding the paper and tucking it in my pocket, I wished to carry a memento of the place's forgotten history secretly. We advanced towards the 2nd floor, eager to explore the renowned surgery room of Dr. Lakeville, hoping to capture clear photographs of the equipment. However, as we climbed the stairs, an inexplicable, buzzing sound halted us before the final step. It sounded like electricity, which was strange since the building didn't have power. Determined to explore further, we traced the noise to the hallway on the right, but a spine-chilling scream interrupted our quest. With our ears ringing, we listened to the cries originating from the partially open door on the left. It was a woman in distress, and an older man was attempting to help her. We exchanged horrified glances, unsure if we should interfere or escape. Without a moment's hesitation, I rushed into the room to confront the agonizing screams piercing the silence. My heart was pounding as I shouted for them to stop, hoping to end the woman's misery. The sight before me was gruesome, as the woman lay horrifically burnt atop a table, begging for mercy. The man standing over her, seemingly unaffected, unnerved me. His cold, stoic expression sent shivers down my spine. When I demanded to know his identity, he sneered, revealing a sinister laugh that made my stomach churn. He seemed to recognize us, mentioning the portrait Corey had taken of him earlier. It didn't make sense. Corey had lied about his past visits to this place. I was left with an unsettling feeling. Dr. Lakeville, the man responsible for the hospital's surgeries since 1997, was the culprit behind the woman's affliction. My suspicions were confirmed as I connected the dots with the letter I had discovered earlier. The doctor's menacing statement about taking care of me made me recoil in horror. What did he mean? I was even more disturbed by Corey's ominous declaration that everyone died here. It sent a chill down my spine. I felt lightheaded, and my stomach churned as I tried to make sense of what was happening. It felt like I was trapped in a nightmare. The doctor's mention of intercepting one of my letters was puzzling. How could he have done that? My thoughts raced, and my hands shook as I struggled to regain my composure. The situation was more dire than I ever imagined, and it was unclear what would happen next. My mind was reeling with disbelief. It was like a jigsaw puzzle finally coming together. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I had started the fire that destroyed the hospital, which ultimately resulted in my death. I was a patient at Stony Church, and all my therapies had failed to cure me of my pyromania. Everyone in the room was dead, trapped in purgatory. The strangers with the camera equipment passing through us without acknowledging our presence was proof enough. I felt a wave of sadness wash over me as I realized the enormity of the situation. I was a ghost, doomed to spend eternity in this place. As I looked around the room, I saw that the others were in a similar state of decay, including Melanie, who, like me, was a nurse at the hospital. I felt anger bubbling inside me, knowing that Dr. Lakeville was responsible for ruining our lives and trapping us in this limbo. Dr. Lakeville was racked with guilt as he stood before his son in the abandoned building of Stony Church State Park. He had tried everything to rid his son of his obsession with fire but had only ended up pushing him further away. Now, his son was gone, and all that remained were haunting memories of their failed attempts at a cure. As Dr. Lakeville spoke to his son, tears streaming down his face, he realized that his obsession with saving his child had cost him everything. He had lost his reputation, and his son had lost his life. But it wasn't just his son's life that was lost. Many others had suffered due to his reckless experiments with fire. As the memories of his failures flashed before his eyes, his son's spirit faded away, leaving Dr. Lakeville alone with his regrets. He watched helplessly as the ghosts of his past tormented him, his obsession with his son's illness haunting him for all eternity. In the end, Dr. Lakeville's story is a cautionary tale of obsession and the destructive power of love. Despite his good intentions, his single-minded focus on curing his son had led to his own downfall and the downfall of those around him.